Stentorious.
Stentorious?
Stentorious. That's like a deep resonant thing, I think.
Stentorious. Why does that feel in relation to a dinosaur somehow?
That sounds like Stegosaurus.
That's why. Okay.
I hope this makes it in.
Welcome to the latest episode of Authenticated with your host, Kate McLeod. I am intrigued by people. People watching, I love. People learning, that's where I'm insatiably curious. I'm interested in the why and how of the creative mind's pattern of thinking, the subtext to the creative thinker, or in its more conscious and malleable form, the creative conscious. Because when you are so clear on yourself via the triad of consciousnesses, then you become reflective to others. Meeting yourself is an infectious practice because what feels good is infectious and something I think we could all use a good dose of. So join me in conversations with a diverse arsenal of creative thinkers, from artists to entrepreneurs to serial thinkers ready to optimize their creative conscious. With me, self-made and self-proclaimed creative entrepreneur. Sounds hot, right? Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for being a part and present in the Authenticated world. Thank you for taking these episodes as they come. This has very much been a time of recalibration for me in the best way. So I wanted to come on here really quickly because this is going to be one of the most chaotic episodes in the way of sound, because unbeknownst to me, there was construction in our hallway happening during the recording session. The more time I spent with this episode editing it to make sure that it was of sound quality as much as it could be, is that it's incredibly insightful. It's so charming, and it's kind of like a play in and of itself, which is ironic considering the episode is with Rob Neill, who is a Neo-Futurist to his core. Neo-Futurists have been around in New York for a very long time. They are currently taking up residency at Second City here in Williamsburg, New York. And they're a great troupe. They're a lot of fun. It's a really good date night. It's a really good night out. It's just a really good time with really good people. So enjoy this episode. And though I am not currently sponsored by Milwaukee, I am completely open to it. Your buzzsaw does its job excellently.
Okay.
This is exciting.
Hey, here we are.
Rob Neill,
I am here.
thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for, as everyone who's going to be listening is going to be doing, navigating the construction that is going outside.
That's right. There are some very bone-cutty looking saws that are in your hallway,
Yeah.
and it makes a fine mist of powdered drywall as you get off the elevator.
It's the drama that I wanted.
It's very much like you're on a magical quest, which I enjoy.
I want this to be an experience that lasts with you for a long time.
That's right. It'll be inside me.
What are the rules of the Neo-Futurists?
You are who you are.
Yeah.
You are where you are. You're doing what you're doing, and the time is now.
Okay.
2:40.
Well, I am Kate McLeod, and this is Rob Neill. We are in Williamsburg, New York, amidst construction in a building, and it is July. It is
Not yet.
June 26th at...
You want to try that again?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, roll back because it's the 27th. We got this.
It is June 27th at...
Now it is still 2:40. You
Still
did that.
2:40,
Yes.
and we are starting our podcast.
That's right. Who knew that end of June was hallway construction season?
I did not know.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the future of the aesthetics of my hallway.
Right. We are a wall away from construction, and we are mere blocks away from where the Neo-Futurists perform every weekend.
At Second City.
At Second City. Yeah. So I feel like I'm really starting to feel at home in this neighborhood because we've been here since January.
Wow. The residency started.
The residency, yeah. I mean, we feel this is our new home.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens to the Neo-Futurists when they get this new home?
Well,
from your vantage point,
two amazing Chicago institutions come together because Neo-Futurism started in Chicago and the Second City started in Chicago. Different timelines, but so that's super cool.
Yeah.
And the space is the old rough trade space on North 9th. And it's just a lovely space. It's really welcoming. There is this wonderful bar and lobby that you can hang out in. There's a main stage where there are amazing shows during the year. Second City runs reviews there and other larger shows. And then we're in the black box. So it's a very lively and vibrant space. There's also a school where they teach improv and sketch and stand up. So the energy is really good in there. Also, there's warm light and tables and bent wood.
I think that's it feels like an upgrade for yeah. Even though I did love the KGB bar above the Crane Theater, I absolutely loved that space, and I thought it was so great. You came into a space kind of like, I loved the entrance in where you didn't know, you meet someone. Katie's face comes to mind. Hey, how are you? What's your name? And so that aesthetic, I always matched with it. But when I attended the gala for the Neo-Futurist, that's when I saw the aesthetic get a glow up.
Yeah. And that space was exciting and a privilege to perform in because it's so much bigger than most of the places we perform in. The main stage, the tech booth there feels like you're in a starfighter. It's like all these things in front of you and screens, and you can make things glow and sound really cool. But the space in general just has that nice feel to it. There's still in Neo-Futurism a downtown theater, indie theater aesthetic. So that's one reason why the Crane Theater felt very much like our home, and it was our home for 17 years. That in itself was there's a comfort in that too. And we've been kind of playing around. We went back to Here Theater for last year's Best Of. We were at Theater 154 for most of last year. So, trying to find that space, and it really feels like the Second City space is a good fit for us in that, hey, here we are, we feel supported, their team really supports us. And two, in that it is this new prompt for who we are as neo-futurist artists. Because what we create, it goes into a space and like kind of does things with it and takes over when we do the show. But the space itself then also influences the show. So it's a conversation.
Because how could it not? How could you ignore that? How could you ignore 100%. The new circumstance of
we
that?
Are where we are. We're in the black box at Second City.
The new space gives you a glow up, which I'm very curious to know how you scale up accordingly with the new space for the Neo-Futurist. So before we get there, how did you arrive to the Neo-Futurist? If your first steps into the theater world to now, how do you arrive to the Neo-Futurist?
Well, it's a journey.
Yes.
That if we were to focus on where I am now, a lot of it is Neo-Futurism, right? Because I've been a Neo-Futurist for 30 years.
Have you celebrated that in any way?
We're doing it right now.
Right now.
No.
Yeah.
No, it started because I literally moved to New York City 30 years ago this month.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was the reason you arrived
And
here.
that's the reason I came here. So I go to Grinnell College. I'm a philosophy major with a Russian Eastern European Studies concentration. So I don't even take a theater class at college. One, I do a lot of theater. I do a lot of improv. I work with some Chicago improvisers, Kevin Dorff and Jay Leggett, who teach us long form. So we learn the Herald. I think I'm going to be, I don't know what, a lawyer who improvises. Russian translator who improvises.
Do you remember the plan when you had all those like tools in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, here's what happened.
Okay.
Was there a plan? Maybe not, and that might be why I'm a neo-futurist, because the plan is to just do the thing, be the thing. Whatever happens is what exactly is supposed to happen, right? I do that, and I'm like, I don't know if I should be an artist per se. I don't, because it's such a challenging job or lifestyle or something. But I'm like, I need to figure this out. So I went to the O'Neill. I did a semester at the O'Neill. From that, I went to the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art for the classical MA, MFA, whatever you want to call it, program. That was amazing. And London. I also did a Grinnell in London program. So I had a lot of experience in London theater and training in London, which was amazing. I came back to the Midwest and was just auditioning for things. I did some children's theater on the road, which was an adventure that is a whole other story. But I was also always kind of writing poetry. So I started doing slam poetry, and I came back to Chicago. I did some theater there. I was doing slam at the Green Mill, which is kind of where slam started, the Chicago Poetry Slam. And I got good at it. And I met neo-futurists, and I heard about theater. And I'm like, sounds so cool. And then I went, and then they said, you should audition. And I auditioned with slam poems. I remember it was like, here I am, poet. And that was awesome in so many ways, because I'm just like taking one style and putting into another and creating it. And that's who I was at that time. And I got the call. Hey, we'd like to cast you in the Neo-Futurists. We're going to put you in the New York company. I said, what New York company? And they said, exactly. You are going to be part of the first New York company.
How did they know you were game?
They didn't. They said, you may not want to do this. And I said, no, I want to do this. They said, there's no money. I'm like, I'm going to move to New York with no money. I'm going to do that.
What was the most exciting part about it?
That it was an adventure, that I was like, this is an opportunity that I didn't expect to have, that is going to take me to someplace new. I had agents in Chicago who were working with me. I'd made some television commercials. I'd done a few projects, but I was like, I'll be back in 6 months.
Okay. Understood. Got it.
I had, it's like the bees are coming in.
I know.
It's like,
I'm like, what could you be cutting for that long?
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. So yeah, I thought I would be here for 6 months, and I had a decent apartment in Chicago. After 6 months, I'm like, oh, I barely know this place. I'm just trying to figure it out.
And then what happens?
We come here, and we're kind of as I like to say, the Jamestown expedition or whatever to New York. We kind of are doing it, and then we all dissipate into different things. Bill Coleus started doing more television commercials eventually. Greg Codis wrote You're in Town, the musical, co-wrote it with Mark. And Spencer Caden was in it. Ann and Greg were the main reasons we came out here. Probably Spencer too, I guess. But they came out here and they got married and started having a family, created a Tony-winning musical. We all kind of scattered, and they're like, send them supplies and they go, But we did some best of celebrations of the company at the old UCB space. And then it kind of stopped around 98. And then I started going back to Chicago, September 2001. I was like, oh, maybe I should leave to New York now. Stepped away for a while and did the show in Chicago, and really got my footing in neo-futurism. I really felt like I was getting how to do it better then.
The yes anding of it, what's interesting to me is, was there a shift in the yes and mentality? Is there a shift in the, I'm going to do it? Like, okay, there's not a ton of money, but I want to be a neo-futurist. New York sounds like a thing. Let's go do it. Like, it sounds like you were pre-prepared for opportunities on their way to you. Did you recognize it at the time? Was there a shift in mentality to adapt so that you were ready for what was coming at you?
I think it really got, that yes and really got drilled into me with the Chicago improv influence. And I think I always was into adventures. I always say, like, embrace the adventure and in it. That's what took me to London for the study abroad. That's what took me to the O'Neill and London later. And I think because I had this kind of breadth of experience training wise, I'm like, well, let's see what this is. Because this neo-futurist opportunity is bigger than just doing a show. It's literally changing perspectives and locations and the givens.
Did you know the company that was going to come out in New York before you did?
I knew none of them other than, I knew Greg and Ann from seeing them in the show in Chicago.
Okay. And you trusted them based off of what you witnessed in the production to move you?
Trust? I don't know. I like them enough, and I'm like, oh, these people seem great, so let's go. This institution that's been around for a whole 7 years at that time, right?
But during this time too, what evidence is around you that is supporting this curiosity that you have?
What is that? That's a good question. I think this is part of what has attracted me to be a neo-futurist for so long, is that failure is always an option. And because it really isn't failure.
So what's your definition of failure then?
What's my definition of failure? Yeah. I try not to use that word. Failure to me is harm, probably. The things that are harmful or cause trauma. But otherwise, it's something that you're learning from. It's an experience that you're adding to the collection of what you are as a person and as an artist. Because particularly, I think it applies to all arts, but particularly to neo-futurism, everything is applicable.
Because it's real life.
Right. So you can turn anything into a play. There's so many times over the last 30 years where people in my life are like, that should be a play. You should write that as a play.
Yes. I take my big whoops that happen in real time usually, and I put them in dialogue. Because you're right, everything can be a play. There's a learning opportunity everywhere. I perceive failure as information.
Right. So that's what you're equating big whoops with, like what other people would say is failure.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other day, I'm in Bryant Park. I am opposite Dave Byer. He's been on the show before. He is the former co-president of JHRTS, and I was just voted to be the new one. And so we're sitting there. I'm very much engaged in the conversation. This houseless person comes up and asks Dave specifically for money. Dave says, I don't have any cash on me. And I said, oh, I have this food because I had my lunch that I hadn't eaten. I said, do you want this? And he goes, yeah. And he takes it and he goes, I hope you get home safely today. And I said, thank you so much. You too. And I was like, I looked at Dave and I said, I'm just the biggest fucking asshole. And he goes, you didn't mean it? And I was like, it's like when someone says, have a nice flight. And you go, you too.
Yeah.
And just, anything can be a play. You say anything can be a play. You have this yes and experience. You have this theater background where it really gets instilled into you. Mm-hmm. You say, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah. You have this.
Thanks for asking.
Oh, no, of course. I think it was the story, maybe. You have this tremendous theater background that is so diverse because it's from different spaces, from different people. It's not like you got one side of the coin. You got a 360-degree view and all in a short period of time. And then it seems like the Neo-Futurist is the place that you found to actually practice those skills that you had acquired.
It's like going to the gym for creativity.
I love that. So how does that work in the process of Neo-Futurism?
You get iteration. You get to say, I don't think anything that I've created in Neo-Futurism is ever done. I think it's always in process.
Okay.
Because it is a conversation with me and the artist, me and the space, the art and the space, the play and the performers and the audience. Like it's always there, and there's all this information coming. Yeah, you can say, okay, I don't need to worry about changing it, but if it changes, it's okay.
Okay.
So there's a comfort with that, sorry.
No. Don't apologize, please. But there's comfort in that. So like if there was a direction and there's 4 ways that you can drive to get from point A to point B, no matter what, you get to point B. So you just have that core systemic belief in yourself that you are getting to point B. You just don't know what it looks like.
There was a time where I was living part-time here and part-time in LA, and I would go visit my family in Wisconsin where I kept a car, and I would drive to LA different ways every time.
Why?
Because I wanted to experience that. It's a different adventure each time then. And you're getting all this new, I've been to every state now,
That's amazing.
Because that to me seems exciting and valid.
If you had to transcribe the value of doing that for yourself, what would it be?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I think it's something about like embracing an opportunity that could lead to anything. Even if you drive the same way, there are variations on that. Like going the other way, you're getting all this new input that provides perspective, and it provides the chance to meet new people. It provides a chance to see new things, because all those things are, I think, essential to, 1, being a better artist.
Yes.
And 2, I think being a better person.
Yeah. I think that you just personified and changed my perspective of the word opportunity for me. Because people usually say, oh, that's an amazing opportunity, as if it's one, as if once it's had, it's done, it's dead. So you believe in opportunity is just opportunity. It's not an opportunity, it's opportunity.
Right.
Expansiveness, always more.
I think so. There's also, especially these days, a push to be like, okay, what can be less? How can you have a little bit less? But I try to have those moments of less and those moments of breath and those, because also I think there are moments of breath in those opportunities. So I can take all those opportunities, right? Like you have your downtime, so then you can go, okay, I'm going to embrace this adventure. Like
okay.
I was a little sad that I was behind today, so I couldn't take the ferry to get here.
Because why?
Because the ferry, I think, is a more interesting opportunity. And I don't want to put value but then the L train.
At least it's not the weekend.
Oh my God, I saw a funny personification of the G train on TikTok, but
it's not funny, but it's good and it's accurate.
Yeah.
It is so accurate. Sometimes I'm a bus.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh
that I lost it. What's that?
That's why I won't live in Greenpoint. I won't live off that.
I agree with your assessment, but that moment when it's sometimes a bus, I'm like,
it's like the G train is a bus. It is a bus.
Please.
And okay, I am so interested in your curiosity, but because I keep getting so excited and going so granular into tiny little points, the big overarching point that I think that you're the expert in answering is how theater training, theater making prepares you for life, for like how to wake up today,
Yeah.
how to perceive today,
Yeah.
a mentality that shifts. I'm an expert in perspective. Me, I'm just like, well, let's make this make sense. Try this on. Does this work?
Yeah.
And so I feel connected to you in that way. We have this arsenal of creative tools that came from theater making and theater training formally. But like,
What are we in now?
the sounds of this.
I love it though.
I really like the yes and that's happening. It really feels like we're in an actual theater space now. To me.
I mean, I feel like you talked for a very long time, but can I just say,
Yes.
my little win, I did take the L train, but I do get a little bit of a, when I'm at 59th Street Columbus Circle and the brand new A train comes rather than an old A train. I'm like, well, at least there's that.
It's like when you order an Uber and you order the Uber X, but then the Uber Black SUV arrives.
Yeah.
And you're like, great.
It's like, okay.
It's enjoying the user experience.
Yeah,
and I think
the UX. Come on now.
And I feel that way too. I practice it in small ways. Simple things like when I'm putting away clean dishes.
Yeah.
And I'm putting them away. I have a set of Tupperware that all Russian dolls into itself. That is the most compact way to put it away. It's the most efficient way to put it away. Do I want to play Russian dolls all the time with my Tupperware? No, I don't. But I make myself every single time because I know the user experience later, when I see that clean set of Russian doll Tupperware, I'm going to feel better.
That's so your aesthetic that I love it because there are times where I'll look in the cupboard and someone has put, and they've stacked them. Like, so it's just a tall stack rather than a nested stack.
And you're like,
why?
Like,
Matrushka doll that, please.
And is there any potential that maybe your efforts there took the same amount of time as it would have done to do the other thing? But I am so invested in my user experience that if I don't practice it in the smallest of ways, it's not going to translate to the biggest of ways because it has to become an ingrained fundamental habit of all of my behavior. And you're right. That is exactly who I am. I do Russian doll my Tupperware. I also vacuum my apartment every single day.
Wow. That is, I see it. And that is magic. That's aspirational.
Thanks.
For me.
I think someone might clinically diagnose it in the comments.
Sure. But I love that. I mean, it is fascinating, particularly being in a learning space or in a theatrical space where you're encountering so many different approaches to cleanliness and creativity and art and all that. And having to work in the collaboration of what those can be. And sometimes you're going to run into blocks. And how do you navigate those? And that is a particular challenge, I think, in what the Neo-Futurist is doing, which is collective. It's collective art making, but it's also collective producing, right? So we're calling upon a lot of different approaches to then have a similar or one end game, which is the show. And they don't always mesh easily, too, is the other thing.
You illuminated something else in my brain that would be an interesting tool for other people to be able to use. What is your definition, your relationship to permission?
Oh, my goodness. Personally or in a group?
Both.
Yeah. Because for me, I feel for the most part, historically, that I'm like, as long as it's not causing harm or trauma, which is also hard to understand sometimes for other people. But like, I'm not saying, oh, you need to ask permission of me. Just ask me what you want to ask me, right? But I feel that in a group setting, particularly in 2025, that there's a lot of times that you need to ask permission to involve people in certain things, practices, artistic events, plays, that if you don't ask, it can create excess tension or even have people shut down. Is that what you're asking? So I really didn't define it yet.
Define it then before I ask my question.
Yeah, I think permission for me is like, can I use that chair? Thanks for asking. But like in general, when you get down to it, like I think permission is something that more and more is less implicit and needs to be explicitly stated. You need to make sure that everybody is comfortable with how things are as much as you can. Because sometimes you just have to sit in awkwardness too, right? Like you just have to work in it.
You have to acknowledge whatever it brings back,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Part of permission is actually receiving the truth of any circumstance. More on the intangibility of permission, just because you are so good with going with the flow, taking what's next, seeing what's available, and then saying, okay, so how can we actually do the best thing here today in this moment in time with the things that are right here?
Yeah.
As opposed to preemptively, and some would think that that's rooted in anxiety, preemptively decide the thing. So your relationship to permission as far as what something may be, or your permission to yourself or to others to take an opportunity that might come in front of them.
Part of it is having an organic quality to it within a situation. I think there's a lot of that like has been really shifting for me around permission and acknowledgement. And there are times where accommodations are needed or requested and the situation can't always accommodate. Or the people can't. Like there are people that are like, I need this and I need this. And I'm like, I need this and I need this. And another person's like, I need this and I need this. And those things and needs may not be the same. And they may actually contradict each other, which makes it hard.
Do you think the element of the Neo-Futurists of having scripts written is sort of a framework or bumpers or anything in the realm of those words?
There is having scripts written and having a process by which we go through them, select them, rehearse them, and then put them into a show, I think provides some bumpers. We used to have more bumping up against what the aesthetic is. And now we have sometimes, I'm feeling more bumping up what people's personal comfortability is and whether that can be, how to navigate that and how to still create without having added limitations, but acknowledging that we all have limitations, right?
The truth of the circumstances of the person, of the people who are involved.
Yeah.
In terms of your background, because you do a multitude of things like most people in our industry. You and I are both multi-hyphenates over and over again. So you have this ability to come into the room and in the structure of the Neo-Futurists and putting on a hour-long show with 30 plays that are each written by the people there. You have that structure there. And I think that it's no coincidence that similarly you have a structure from your training, from your background in theater. But it is interesting to see how you apply those skills to something as direct into theater as the Neo-Futurists, but then also things like coordinating who you're going to have as representatives at the Met Gala or things like that. So talk about the other things that you do and then how this mentality plays into you being a strong, suited person to do these things.
Well, I mean, when I came here with the Neo-Futurists, it was with a promise of $50 a week and a few people I knew, right? So I needed to find a place. I needed to find a day job and all that. So I already knew I worked the day jobs in Chicago. I worked at a cafe. I worked in law offices. And I basically just kind of put that out there too.
Because you still had your degrees.
Sorry?
You still had your degrees and your interests from other efforts.
Yeah. So part of it is just putting out there, like, I need a place to stay, I need a job, and hope that something will happen. And it did. And I for a while I worked at a literary agency, and I worked a little bit more like a full-time gig. And that was fascinating because, again, it's all applicable. One day I had to call up Ken Kesey, and his wife answers the phone, and she's like, he's on the tractor. Do you want me to go get him? And I'm like, well, sure, if you want to get him. Otherwise, have him call me back. You know, like it was just random amazingness that it's like, oh, I don't know, Susan Day from the Partridge Family also had written some stuff that my boss, Jody, was taking the books from the literary agency and trying to turn them into movies. So it felt like it was part of the world that I'm trying to be a part of. Like finding those kind of jobs. Sure, I at one point was on an inventory team temping, like barcoding stuff and then inventorying it for Swiss Bank or something, terrible job, right? But then I got involved with a fashion PR firm, which is KCD, and I was like the night word processor because the office was 2 avenues from my apartment and they only had 4 computers. So I came in and used the computer and did stuff at night for them. And then eventually I got into the front of the house stuff, which was super fun. And I, go to fashion shows during Fashion Week and fun events. Some designers would create things in the park or on boats or, the Met Gala, which is fascinating because it's just, like, it's work. Yeah. But I get to talk to a bunch of people who are in these amazing outfits and about to go through the red carpet, which for the Met is a giant staircase of reporters and video and cameras. And they're just, it's just beautiful chaos.
How do you maintain your common ease and then offer it to other people?
Wow. Yeah. One, because I'm there and there's very little pressure on me, but besides just being that for people, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, I know that. I've been there before. I've been there many years, which is amazing. And so I can just do that. And the other thing is, there are a lot of people I recognize, but there's some people I don't. And I'm just like, hey, I'm Rob. And they're like, hey, I'm Oprah. Like, no,
Hey.
right? Hey,
Casual.
yeah, that's right.
What a good
Hey, I'm
Sunday.
Beyonce. No, the Oprah was, I mean, Beyonce and I haven't really had a conversation.
Uh-huh.
But there are other people, and I'm like, oh, you're pretty cool. There are a few people you're like, oh, I'm fangirling over this person too much. I need to stop.
But what's so cool about this, though, is I think there's a quality that exists in this ability. Let me give some context to this next part a little bit. I have a lot of friends in the industry. I have a lot of friends who cannot get out of their own way.
Mm,
And I understand the feeling with someone with, I joke, too many degrees and too many certificates. Like, I don't want to do anything outside of what I'm an expert in. It's hard to divorce the 6-year-old ideal version of what that looks like with yourself and grow up in a way where you can own what your expertise is and then apply it to a bunch of different ways that either you make up or are already established in the industry in order to get yourself out there and for people to not only meet you, but to understand who you are. It's more of a quality, I think, or it's a trait or it's a skill. It lives in that world. Can you talk a little bit about how you figured it out? And then can you talk a little bit about, in hindsight, how you would advise someone in doing that?
I'm gonna try to navigate that all. I think sometimes I've gotten off into stories rather than answering your question. So I think part of it is you embrace the adventure, right? But you do it with curiosity and with an eye toward whatever this is going to influence me. What if I take the stance that it's going to be positive and that if I need to have it be transactional, I'm going to be able to use this somehow. Right?
Say that in a different way, that last part.
If you need to go, okay, what am I going to get out of this? That it's transactional, that you're going to get this experience that you will build off of, either energetically or creatively, or if it's terrible, like some of the best plays that I and other Neo-Futurists have written, one of which was about being on the L train by Mike Manship. It was from a bad experience, right? Like you learn from that, you grow from that. And you also, if you're making art, you can make art from that. I mean,
Taking it as a learning opportunity.
Yeah. It doesn't need to, there's so much devastation and trauma and harm in the world. And I'm not saying, well, the good part is that you can make art out of that or you can build off of that, but there is something that is good out of that you hopefully can mine. Now, there are things that are going to knock you down and knock you down hard, and you need your team and your coping mechanisms to get through that stuff. And sometimes it's a lot, not to diminish that at all. And not to say that that's what you're searching for at all, but there are a variety of experiences that will be at different points in that spectrum, from the fuck to, yes, this is joy, this is ecstasy. It's a spectrum.
Everything is a spectrum.
Yeah. So what do you tell somebody? Right? You need your ways of coping to celebrate the joys and to navigate the lowest lows and everything in between, right? And how do you then be able to be that vessel, that receptacle, but also be not just passive? And that, I think, is in embracing the adventure and the curiosity of it and finding the ways that you can go to the gym, not just the gym, right? Go to the gym for creativity, go to the gym for acting, go to the gym. But like, how are you doing that to make sure that when the opportunity calls for you to be in somebody's something or create your own thing, that you are prepared, that you are open to that?
The channel of receiving is a visual that I'm like seeing right now of like, how do you receive and where does it sit and what do you do with it? And I'm not a woo-woo queen, I'm a logical queen. And so I love this movement of manifestation. I love this movement of positive thinking to receive positive impact. Yes. But my approach to that in my work, in everything I do, is make it make sense. How does it make sense? And that is your choice.
Yeah.
You get to decide
Yep.
what your mental approach is to anything.
Yep.
I have decided that I am not going to have invaluable days.
Yeah.
Will I have them? Absolutely. But will they still be invaluable if I really look at them?
No.
No, it's actually not possible. I've decided that there is no possibility for me to have an invaluable day. I think leading with curiosity is the way, and a mentality that has your coping mechanisms involved in it so that you already you're the one who gets to set up the lane where you're going to bowl. You're the one who gets to put the bumpers on or not. And even if you land in the gutter, it's your gutter. You know where it's going at the end of the day. Like, you have no idea what the path is.
There's something about marrying that positivity or curiosity or ability to kind of navigate even the days that seem like, what did I really do today? But then also marry that with, how are you being of service and what are you being of service to?
Oh, make it about the other person.
Because people will then take their universal experience out of those things. I think part of that is that makes you more relatable. I mean, the difference where I said that G-Train sketch was kind of funny, and you're like, well, it wasn't really funny, but the bus thing. I'm like, yeah, that's what got me. It was the bus thing, right? Because that's the detail where it really dove down into it. Like, okay, he's playing a kid and like whatever, but like the bus, you're like, oh yeah, sometimes the train's a bus.
I think I've synthesized what it is that makes you such a powerful creative and such a impactful and successful one.
Can I say that this is your superpower?
Thank you. You have to do more than one thing, or you have to do one thing in more than one way.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Yes, that. Yeah.
What you were saying earlier about driving, take a different route. What else could happen? What different thought is there for you? There is something different and different for everybody.
Yes. Because you are taking input that is different and it's affecting you differently, which I think is augmenting experience. I never thought of it that way. It's a game changer.
Yeah, a new perspective of the same note.
Very strong perspective. That
very
is important.
Specific. The more specific you get, the more it elicits on the other end, the more information you actually get. I think the best tool is being specific in what you want and what you're going for. It's not about throwing all the spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. It's about taking that one piece and saying, I'm going to be specific here.
Yes. There's that approach, which I love.
Yeah.
But there's also I'm going to take this specific path and I don't know, but I'm taking this path, and then that's going to give the specificity, but it's wide open when I'm on it. Because there's something about not knowing in that situation, right? Like, okay, I'm going to go this way and I may have to change. Totally fine. But I'm going to go this way. I make that choice. I'm going to drive through Wyoming on my way to California and see what happens. And that then becomes very informative as you go through that experience.
And then that is whatever sticks.
Yeah.
Whatever I receive
that is
here.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that, because my next question is, how do artists listen?
Ooh. Some not very well. And I've been that artist. Maybe right now. We embrace the not listening part sometimes.
We do.
That's rough.
Well, something hits. We're having a conversation, so something hit. You know what I mean? It's still back and forth. There's no dead space.
Yeah. True.
Yes.
How an artist, I think, I just folied your mic. It's a storm. We're in Wyoming. No, that wasn't a stormy one. I think the true answer, or the school answer, is with your whole body, right? You listen because you're it's and it, I kind of have a problem with that, and I kind of don't, because there is a part of how you are physically affects how you can receive things, right? And also you're listening here and here, eyes and ears. I think, demonstration. Part of it is allowing for there to be dead space and see what happens next. Part of it is of service to the conversation too, right? You're okay, it's not going to be great if I just monologue necessarily.
I think there is something with listening with your whole body, right? To see where it hits you. But I think a lot of listening actually has to do with receiving.
Yeah. I just turned up the mic so the authenticated part's more camera friendly.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
There is something about listening that has to do with receiving. It has to do with collaboration. And it has to do with seeing the other person. So listening for an artist, because of an artist or a person, it means to be in harmony with the environment, or not in harmony, but in some sort of conversation with the environment around you and the people around you, right? So listening, I think, actually has a huge component of opening up a channel of receiving in order to listen. Listening doesn't stop because your opinion continues to change after you've received something.
And you need to not just be thinking about what you're going to say next, and to want to have a conversation and not just perform it.
Because you are not responsible for other people's reactions.
And you don't necessarily know what they're going to be, which is fine. I mean, obviously there's sometimes you're like, I'm going to say this in this way, this is how you're going to receive it, but you don't know.
You don't know, because that's not your business.
No.
Your business is how you're going to respond to that.
You don't need to control or orchestrate it at all necessarily.
So listening for artists is receiving, staying present, and having strong opinions.
And knowing that those can change. Having that malleability in that world.
Yes. How do you take this and apply it in an actionable way for the big picture of like scaling Neo-Futurist? Like you have this new space. The approach changes because it's a new space.
Right.
So you acclimate to the space as the artist, but then what happens when the space gives you this new energy? How do you grow up and out?
Yeah. Good. I think what's happened in a lot of ways, we've had to, in order to stabilize, which sounds antithetical to a chaotic show and company, but in order to have that like bedrock that is healthy and stable, we needed to have a slight reduction, okay, we're in a slightly smaller theatrical space. We have a smaller staff and all that. We had to kind of circle the wagons, rally the troops, old school, and go, okay, here we are. This is what we are. And we're in a place that's supporting us, and we feel now we can scale up. And I think also that was the first gala that we've done in person for 6 years, I think. And so just feeling that kind of energy in a bigger space, right? And going, oh, this is where we can be, will allow us to do some of the things that are bigger things. Because we've had to step a little bit away from developing longer form Neo-Futurist shows, which we call prime times. And that's something that we're getting back into. We're going to look at casting again, expanding the current ensemble and technical collaborators as well, which we're in the process of hiring now. So like having that, like, because I think we have a crew of interns this summer. It's good to have them, that kind of energy back too. So there's a lot of people kind of coming into the orbit, coming in the collective, and some of those people will spin off, and other people that have been in for a while will spin off. And like having that kind of energy to me is really important because it's vibrant and it is allowing there to be these conversations beyond the ones that we're having in other spaces, right? Like the people that come up and say, hey, in high school I did this. It's like, oh, I was an intern for the Neo-Futurist and now I'm over here doing this. And oh, I was in the Neo-Futurist and now I'm over here doing this. And I think that's really important for the health of what Neo-Futurism is in general, for there to be those things.
Neo-Futurism, I'm noticing, has a pattern of when impacting people, a thread remains tied to Neo-Futurism, no matter where they spin off to.
100%.
I noticed that specifically at the gala because as I was going around, I was asking people what they did, and none of them were in the theater industry or the entertainment industry. And I was like, what is happening? And I was like, oh my God, these are die-hard Neo fans.
Some of them, yeah.
These are real fans here who said, no, I want to be here because I'm part of the community.
Yeah.
And that was so amazing to see because it was so insightful for me to be like, okay, so this is what happens when you actually build community.
And that's a shift. I think in the 90s, when we started this, we were down on the Lower East Side. It was very punk rock. We were in people's faces. And it was a community to a certain extent. And there were people that came regularly. But the event of the show was more scrappy, and now one of the amazing things about coming to the show and doing the work is that each night we're creating a unique community that will never be replicated, but that can build. The show happens uniquely, as we say, once you've seen the show once, you've seen the show once, because it's a different show every time we do it, because it's always in a different order, and it's different plays, and different Neos come in, and different audience members. That all affects the show being different. Now, it has a similar feel, but the important, I think, consistent thing, besides the Neos themselves, is the community that is being built each time. And then it goes beyond just that moment in time, that space.
I think there is something very special about it being in New York and it being by New York actors who live in New York, experience New York, people who are in New York for the first time, visiting on the weekend, people who live in New York and want to continue to come to these things because it's all about real life experiences and the acknowledgement of it being a performance of real life experiences, like the L Train one or Pineapple Express is one of my favorites
Pineapple
as well.
Express, also the train.
Also the train. These things where there's camaraderie because we're all together laughing at the same thing and we're all like, we all have that insane experience on the train.
Yeah.
As a writer, I've kind of been reassessing my opinions on this because as a writer, I thought that real life transcriptions don't transcribe well to produced pieces, and that's not entirely true. Because exactly like the train, I've had insane experiences on the train that I'm like, if it was written, I would have believed it. You can't write this. This is so real. And this actually can transcribe. Art in general could very easily be pulled from a direct transcription
Sure.
from real life because that's what we're emulating. So why would it not work?
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I think one of the reasons that I'm still a Neo-Futurist is that on 9/11, I was stuck on an A train between 42nd Street and Penn Station. I didn't know what was happening.
I just got chills.
So I was late to work. And I had it was for the fashion company. And I had my suit in a bag to go to a show that was supposed to happen later that day. And I just had nothing else to do but document what was happening in my mind. And then I ended up going to Chicago to do the show. And then there was a play that was exactly, it wasn't the whole 2.5 hours that I was there, but like it was just a encapsulation of what that moment was like, because that was obviously a lot for everybody and terrible and impactful. And I stayed in Chicago longer after I went there later in September and did more of the show and really dove into Neo-Futurism and like how I could do those kind of documentations of just the moments of what a life is. And in that year and the next year when I went back, that solidified my approach to Neo-Futurism, that then I was like, oh yeah, of course I'll help when it started in 2004. Only because I was like, I'm documenting these things and got better at it. Then I'm like, oh yeah, of course I should continue to do it. And this is because those moments don't stop. I mean, good and bad. And those glimpses into the distillation, and we distill in Neo-Futurism a lot. So like the distillation of like those moments in life that you then can present so often beautifully, comically, quickly in Neo-Futurist art they don't stop and they accumulate. For me personally, I've written hundreds of plays, probably thousands, because some of them don't get in the show.
The math didn't math there. I was like, I'd say thousands.
Yeah. They're not all about my life because it's not just about me, but like there's so many. And I was going through videos today. I'm like, oh, that's right. We did that.
You just changed my mind again on perspective. And I think that perspective is defined by understanding others. So you say about being stuck on the train during a horrific time that everyone has their unique experience of, but your specific perspective, because it's so specific, is going to align with someone else's because we're all human and everything is a conglomeration of feelings at the end of the day.
Yes. And it doesn't necessarily even need to align, but it's going to spark something in them.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, that's like this, or that reminds me of that. And that's, I think, one of the great things about going to, just to plug the show again, going to the Infinite Wrench, is that you come out of it like there's so many sparks. And it could be just like, hey, I want to talk about this, or what was that thing, or why did they do that, or this resonated with me in this way. Oh, that was funny. Oh, that was a Pineapple Express where they smashed a pineapple on stage multiple times. So it's activating. I think that's the thing. Like, I really appreciate the stuff we do and other theater that activates you in ways. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't need to make you go out and go to, volunteer at a certain place or go to the gym or cook a meal, but it needs to activate you in some way, I think, for it to be, there's so many times when I go to good theater and I walk out, I'm like, ooh, I am energized to do things. Maybe just me do things better, or maybe go out and actually do things. Like, I want to learn how to cook better. I want to learn how to sing better. I want to learn how to dance better. I want to learn more about Dubrovnik, like whatever it is.
Which all just transcribes to, I want to get to know myself better.
Yeah.
And I think that art is the intersection of observation and action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Art emulates life and life emulates art. And this is coming to me now. It's like we have this background, we have this training, we have this specific life experience as artists, but specifically theater artists from various vantage points. Everything's a simulation. Everything is real. Everything is also not real.
Yeah.
Everything exists on a spectrum somewhere, and it's going to be defined based on the perspective of the person who is experiencing and being impacted of where they sit on each part of the scale, which is why no experience is ever the same. You've seen the show once.
Yeah.
But you can say that for life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And part of it is how do you, in those experiences in that life, approach it, right? How do you move through it? I think, part of what you're looking at is like, okay, what's the creative side of it? And how is that applicable? It's universally applicable in my mind, right?
Yeah.
And, some of the other side work I do is how do the tools that artists have to be creative and approach things apply to people that aren't artists? Right. And how do you, and I think sometimes you just have to go, hey, try this thing. And they're like, oh my God, this totally opens up this. And I'm like, yeah, because creativity is a muscle. And there's a lot of things in the world that dampen that. As artists, we call upon the creativity all the time. The creativity. Oh, great creativity.
Oh, great creator of creativity.
Come to me.
Use me as your channel.
Yes. Copious amounts of humor and grace. Yes. But there are a lot of people that don't think about it that way because they are putting things into lanes and there's not a creative lens that they're looking at it through. So they lose some of their effectiveness. They lose some of their joy. They lose some whatever. Not always, but often. But if you give them that tool, then it opens it up.
If you just give them the perspective, if you just give them a new lens to understand something they already have. I'm talking to a client in Me3, I guess this was like 2 months ago. He's a fantastic skier. He's a double black diamond skier. And it's the thing he loves more than anything else. But then he gets nervous in the audition room.
Right.
And it's like, well, why?
Right.
And it's like, well, because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you're telling me that your brain can perceive what's going to happen when you're on a double black diamond going through trees?
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing you can't.
Yeah.
That perspective is applicable. That lens, just take it and put it somewhere else. That is already a neurological pathway. That is already a sensory thing. That is already a belief system that you have in place and have proved over and over again. Why is that evidence not malleable enough to go live over here and help you in this section too?
Right. Because the danger in the moguls and the trees is so elevated compared to the danger in the audition room.
Yeah.
Right. And he's having the fear reaction when it's like you should be able to just take it down and go, okay, this is not life or death. One. And two, you have these tools that like you have great reaction.
Yeah.
And that's all reacting, right? Like,
and keeping yourself alive.
Yeah.
You've lived through every single one because we're talking right now.
Yeah.
And so this idea of adding lenses that you have in other places and applying them everywhere else, I think that, and this is the logical queen side of me, is it's like a formula to me. So if you have one successful relationship in your life, can you synthesize that down into a formula? And then can you apply it to the unsuccessful relationships in your life to see if maybe perchance there is some more success to be had there? And, some things we just abandon for sure.
Yeah.
But why not try and at the end of it have more information than you did in the beginning? Because without the effort, there's no information at the end.
Right. And I think the information in exercising the creative allows you to have those kind of reactions where there isn't the fear. I mean, fear is one thing that you should have some of. And clearly, I would think as a, let's double black diamond skier, you have some fear in there, but you are using it to your advantage. And I think that's part of the thing too. It's like, okay, you're not trying to put people in fearful situations in art necessarily, although some people do. That's kind of art.
Yes.
Right. And that's a thing. But yeah, there's part of it. It's like, okay, how do you have that? I think the whole idea with like training and creativity and art and acting and all that stuff, it's not about like giving you the exact situation and getting you comfortable with doing that over and over again. I mean, that's a certain kind of thing. There's something to we go to the gym. We should go to the gym for creativity, acting, writing groups.
Or go to the gym for fear.
Yeah.
Because
is there such a thing?
I think there can be, because I think that fear, if we apply the other philosophy that we've been applying to other things that you can just decide that there is more there for you. Like fear can have information for you. Fear is what keeps you alive, right? But
Yeah.
you can also use fear. Fear is not just fear, stop, end of story. Fear continues to exist, continues to evolve, continues to change. So is this like a thing where you need to get out because you're going to be eaten by a jaguar? Like, yes, please run. Did you leave the gas on at home? Please turn it off. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about fear of, what happens if I do this? The thing of you initially feel fear, breathe into it, and then do you run away because there is actual danger there? Or do you say, is this fear a cap to the vessel of something else that is trying to come? Is fear actually suppressing something? Or if I lean into the fear, what else could happen? Could fear actually be a tool that once it happens, I can apply a formula where the fear happens, but then I use that fear that usually gets me to spiral downward, use that as a springboard to spiral upward instead?
Yeah.
Can it just be an indicator light? Can it just be the check engine light?
Right. I don't know. I mean, the hard thing is like, how do you not spiral down? Like, it's like, what are the tools that you can call upon so you can get out of the downward spiral? Because I think that's where people get, like, the fear starts to augment and manifest in ways where you're not on your game. Having the fear of, okay, I'm going to go on stage and I'm going to have to do these things and say these lines and do these moves. And you're like, okay, it gives me that energy and I'm going to go do it.
Yes.
Versus it paralyzes me and I'm not going to go do it. Or it puts me out there where I'm just stumbling over everything, right? And how do you make it so it's the first thing, not the other two?
Not the other two.
Yeah. And that's partly what training hopefully helps. That's what rehearsal, I mean, there's, how'd you learn all those lines? Well, rehearsal, like.
Oh, theater's the structure of life.
Yeah.
That's what that makes me think. Theater's the structure of life. Theater is the practice of life. A play is practice of life. Because that's why when we get cast in plays that last for a three-month run, we don't get tired of them because we're actively looking for more there. You're never going to have the same experience even in a play that has structure.
Ideally,
if something's off, if you do, or it's time to move on because you've got what you've are able to get there.
It durational stuff is fascinating to me because it's the opposite of what I do.
Say more about that.
Like people that do 5-year runs in the Phantom on Broadway or on tour for even 2 years. Like I did a tour for 10 months and I wasn't on it all the time. So I was like, oh, this is a very different way to approach art. And some people as artists are really good at running that over and over and over and having variation or finding that. And some people that do it are good at it, but not finding variation. And some people, that's not their thing, right? I was on the Peter and the Starcatcher tour and it was amazing, but I was covering. So there were days that I just didn't do the show, right? And so I got to observe a lot. And then talk about fear. Then all of a sudden, you find out 2 hours before the show that you're going on and you rehearse something different that morning because you have multiple tracks. I'm like, well, here we go, And that's where you find some fear. How do you use it? But that process is very different than what we do in Neo-Futurism, where everything's constantly changing and you're compartmentalizing parts. So you're not thinking, oh my God, I need to know all 30 plays. You're like, I know this play. And when it gets called, I do that play. Otherwise, I'm just present in the show. I mean, I'm present in the play too, but it's like you learn that in a different kind of way. And then it's gone. You're not trying to do this same thing week in, week out, let alone for years. So it's a different muscle for sure. I think the best thing that you can do is just stay curious and experience the city, the world, and all that. When people become neo-futurists, it's like, yeah, you should study the plays of neo-futurism, but you should go to the museum and you should go to the opera and you should go to the theater and you should walk the parks and all that, because that's where you get the things to create from.
I love going to something I know nothing about. And I'm like, great, cool. I'm going in not knowing. And it's like, I love going to plays without having read a summary of the play. I love going to anything not knowing what I'm supposed to expect. There is not a limit on the amount of tools that you can gather into your toolbox. The best tool to always use and always know is to have reflection or time for you to listen to yourself, to be like, what tool did I use today and what did I learn today? And also, I'm not going to school to get the tools that they're telling me that this is going to work for. I'm going to school to get the tools that I feel resonate with me, and then I'm going to do the work to know that I'm the answer to what it is I want. It's not other people. I'm not going to use all the tools they gave me. I'm just going to take the ones for now that feel like they're going to work, and I'm going to go figure out if they work or not.
Yeah, because I think the schools that I hear about and that challenge me are the ones where it's like, okay, you need to do it our way, or we need to break you down to build you up. And that works for some people. I get it.
It does.
I get
Yeah.
it for whatever reason. But for me, I think it's more like, oh, you'll give me some techniques. And probably this is what came out of London, out of Lambda, is like, we're not going to teach you how to act per se. You're an actor. We're going to teach you the tools to be better. Yeah. I'm not going to teach you how to be a neo-futurist. I'm going to give you tools to make art better.
I'm going to give you tools so that you can be yourself here as a neo-futurist.
Sure.
Because it's about being yourself here.
Right.
Here are
right.
the tools that we use so that there is a commonality or a theme, just so we all understand the rules of the game, just like we all have moral compasses that we abide by. There has to be the bumpers. There has to be a structure somewhere.
Sure.
And yes.
Most definitely. And then you're going to learn those things, and you're going to realize that a majority of what you're asked to do as an artist is that kind of thing that you can call upon, right? Because the difference between here I am, Rob Neill, talking to you and being an artist versus here I am as Rob Neill in this role, like character and creating character sometimes it's very minimal compared to the difference of you as an artist, right?
Yeah.
And the baseline is, and this is one of the exercises we do in Neo-Futurist workshops, is it's just about being and walking into a space, sitting down, standing up, sitting down again, walking out, because the amount that you have to do to add story to that is minimal. And already most people are very watchable on stage as themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the main things that then you can extrapolate from that is that you are enough and your story is enough. You don't need to do a whole lot.
You don't need to add anything on, just exist. The reason that there is a differentiation between the artist and the person is because there's perception.
Mm-hmm.
And you are putting yourself on a platform to be perceived. So you actually aren't in control of anything, and you shouldn't try to be, because you're never going to be in control of what the performance is, which is someone else's perception of you being.
Yes. So often the audience will put narrative and meaning on things. We say, and what we create neo-futuristically is sometimes you can let the audience do the heavy lifting, because as people will tie things together and say, okay, this is why this is, and here's the narrative. So you don't have to fill it all in for people. You just put it there. And sometimes I would say part of it is like you have all these experiences that are coming in, and you just let you be a conduit for that. And there is something there already.
Yeah. I'm just here. And the placement of importance of equality between me, the vessel, the artist, the perception, and just being, and you over there experiencing, it's all of equal weight. There's no hierarchy here.
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation. Where can people find you? Where can people follow you? Name them here, drop them here.
All right. You can always find stuff about me at robneill.com. It gets updated by my Instagram and sometimes by me. Most of what I'm doing right now, you can find at nynf.org or at nyneofuturists on Instagram. In the socials, I am Astronaut1, because when I started doing social media, I was doing a play about space. And so I just kept it. Now I have an astronaut tattoo on my shoulder.
Do you really?
Uh-huh.
Do you really? As if you were lying about
Yeah,
that. Come on, Kate. Come on, Kate.
I committed to it.
Yeah, right. Come on. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my God, it's so much fun.
Thank
you. I mean, for those of you out there and those of you out there, this has been a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm so glad.
And that's the latest. I'm honored to have been part of your thinking sphere today. Feel free to share, like, and subscribe on this platform, or follow and participate on any of my social media platforms. If this practice intrigues you as much as it does me, then join us in the Me3 community, where we will work directly and you'll curate a mindful method of thinking to define your own creative conscious. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of Authenticated. I love that you're here.